I'm trying to be calm. I am so excited. I am so excited. I'm so happy, happy, happy.
Well, we suggest that you mute all of that.
I have a son that the mental health system, quote, has labeled schizoaffective, similar to schizophrenia and paranoid, but he gets this. He understands what you're saying.
Can you imagine the label they would give to Esther?
Yeah. You'd be right in there with him, I'm afraid. But this awareness in him seems to be, well, we're all so connected that I feel you're with me all the time, like we're part of each other.
Well, what happens is all physical beings are extensions of source energy. And when you consciously become aware of that, so that you are yielding to it, allowing it, then that sensation of connectedness or of family becomes more apparent to you. In fact, sometimes it's easier for you to recognize your source energy family than it is your physical family. Jerry and Esther met some people in the RV park the last couple of days, and Esther said, they are so familiar. And she kept pestering them. Well, have you been here? Have you been here? Did you go there? Did you go there? They have an American Eagle motor coach also. Did we see you at Decatur? When were you there? They feel so familiar to her that it is hard for her to accept that she does not know them. Sometimes it feels familiar. Sometimes they feel like your best friend. Sometimes they feel like your most raging enemy. In other words, there's always a lot of energy around those familiar energies. Come back to the subject of your son. What is that all about?
When he was about 25, this, quote, schizophrenia began, where he began hearing voices speaking in his head.
Well, he should be shot. Labeled and then shot.
And seeing lots of things. Some of them I could see too. So anyway, he began being labeled, and unfortunately...
What brought about the label? How do you get into a position where someone gives you a label?
He came up against the law because he started taking street drugs and became very irrational and acting as a crazy person walking along the street. And so that's how he got into the mental health system.
And so from where you now stand, what is your question for him?
My question for him is, what should my attitude be, meaning him, to release the bonds I've put myself into? He seems to be trapped by his own view of himself, the way they've labeled him.
Well, the most important thing that you could give to him is an understanding that you do not see the label as others are seeing it. Actually, these experiences are not so extraordinary as you might think, because everyone is connected to source energy and everyone has the ability to receive. And everyone at a place of clear wanting and clear allowing can. What happens with most people is that they're so involved in step 1 that they don't get to step 3, or when they do get to step 3, there's so much distance between when they were asking and when they were receiving that they don't notice the correlation. When you're asking and receiving at the same time, it's sort of an unusual set of circumstances, and so then they give you a label that is uncomfortable. And so the thing that you're wanting to project to him is an understanding that the label maybe applies, but it doesn't mean what they mean when they apply it. No. People commonly have unusual experiences. It would be like using something that is a natural experience now as your defense to explain why you did something else. In other words, a very common defense once someone gets into trouble was, well, please don't punish me because I didn't know what I was doing, or I wasn't in my right mind, or the devil made me do it, somebody else made me do it. And the thing that he has to understand is that he can't live in both worlds. It's like someone being in the middle of a lawsuit. pushing very hard against their adversary, and then saying, how can I get into a place of allowing my well-being? And we say, well, you cannot allow your well-being and push against your adversary at the same time. They are two very different vibrations. And they say, well, I've gone this far. And we say the thing about that position is, in your pushing against, you almost have to find the other people wrong in some way in order to win the lawsuit. But by finding them wrong, you're not in the place of allowing your winning. So now what happens is the people who can push the hardest seem to come out on top momentarily, but the long run is it does not serve any of you very well. And the same sort of thing is happening here, where he has used the system, so to speak, because it is a viable defense, but now he is beginning to believe his own defense. And what we would do if we were close to him as you are, as we would begin saying, that was then and this is now, and let's not keep dragging all of that with us, and begin looking for his times of greatest clarity and speaking to him about his clarity when you see it. Help him to understand that it is not an unusual thing for someone to be able to interpret thought. Once you become a reader of energy, you can read it very well. How often? It happens to all of you all of the time. Does the telephone ring and you know who it is? Or you're thinking about someone and seconds pass before you are in communication with them in one way or another. Or you'll know the next line that they're going to say on the television. Or you are able to sense what a driver in traffic is about to do, even though he has offered no visible signal. In other words, you are all much more connected with one another through your vibrational thought than you know. So what you're wanting to do is soothe him about this. Help him to understand that he is not so different from everybody. And in the soothing, that's the best thing that you can do for him. You cannot look at him, look at the predicament that he is in, and be of much value, because you can't feel soothed about him when you are looking at where he stands. So you have to pull yourself away from the reality that he is living and start seeing him as he really is, or as you know he wants to be. Everyone is multifaceted. And so let's say that your son has 10 dominant characteristics. And let's say, for sake of this example, that 9 of them are really out of line. And one of them is really endearing. If you have the ability to only take that one aspect of him that is endearing to your virtual reality and just let that dominate the way you see him and the way you feel about him, you will activate that vibration about him within you. And in doing so, you will activate that vibration within him, even when you are not together, so that that vibration begins to play a greater role in who he is. Yeah. The same thing could happen in the reverse. Someone could have 9 lovely characteristics and one thing that bothers you, and as you focus upon that one thing, that becomes the basis of your relationship, you see. Mm-hmm. And so people say to us when we offer this, well, Abraham, wouldn't I be stepping on someone's creative toes? And we say, what you are doing is using your power of influence to influence them back into the full connection of who they are. In other words, you can't punish someone back into connection. You can't jail them back in or demand them back in. You love them back in. You soothe them back in, you see. It is the connection to his source that is the remedy for all of this, you see. That's why he chose the drugs to begin with. The drugs muted his awareness of the things that bothered him so. And even though they did not allow complete alignment, at least they muted the sensation of being out of alignment, you see. When we look into the faces of those who've been given the labels of addicted or drug user or alcoholic, it is a very common thing to recognize them as this intense physical body of non-physical teachers who have come forth finding themselves more sensitive to vibration and looking for some coping mechanisms when they find themselves in a place that doesn't feel good and they don't know what to do about it. Then go on to say to him in a very soft, easy manner that you can understand why he chose the drug, knowing who he is and knowing his desire to feel good. And that it is not the best way of going about it, but you certainly understand why he did. And that what he was looking for is his connection to source.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
He'll hear, as you said, he already understands all of that. Mm-hmm. The next thing we want to say to you is, give your attention to aspects of him that feel good, and otherwise pretty much mind your own business. The most common scenario that happens between a parent and child, or anyone who cares about anyone in this situation, is you would feel so much better if he were in a better place. And so then you give them all that baggage that says, I need you to be different than you are so that I can feel good. And they'd sort of like to shout to you, that's how I got myself into this mess to begin with. You see? And so what you're wanting to say to him is, my happiness and my state of well-being is my job. And I'm no longer going to hold you responsible. I'm going to be joyful regardless of what you are doing. And it would be nice if everyone else would do that too. He reads vibration. So when someone says one thing and means another, it makes him nuts. And much of the world is doing that. Much of the world is saying something that they do not mean, you see. And so how refreshing it will be for him to have someone who he cares about, someone who cares about him, saying what you mean. But then there's one other piece to that. Only talk to him when you feel good.
Right.
So that you're saying what you mean, and it's always connective in nature. Some people think that when we say what you mean, that means go tell him how he's hurt you, or go tell you how much trouble. We're not talking about that at all. We're saying you get tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You get connected to source energy through the game of virtual reality that you'll be playing, or selectively sifting all of the wonderful things you remember about him. And as you let that be the dominant basis of the relationship that you have with him, then speak to him. Otherwise, don't. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
You just have to softly, lightly, in a relaxed way, let the well-being that is yours to have in. And the wonderful thing about being a deliberate creator in this leading-edge environment is you get to specifically choose through the power of your thought in what ways the well-being manifests. You get to choose it all. It is a delicious, creative environment, and we are happy to participate with you in this forum, to assist you into coming more into conscious, deliberate control of your own physical experience. Well-being is the order of all things. There is only a source of well-being which you, through your physical format and what you've learned along your physical trail, may be letting in and maybe not. And to the degree that you are thriving, you are letting it in, and to the degree that you are not, you are not. But well-being is all that is offered. And there is nothing that asserts evil or illness. It is just the muting, almost without exception, unconsciously, of the well-being that would be yours otherwise. And so that's an important premise to begin with, because when you understand that we are talking about the art of allowing, it is necessary that you understand what it is you are allowing. The art of allowing means allowing the well-being that is natural unto you. Sometimes people think that when we are talking about the art of allowing, that we mean the art of tolerating, that we mean the art of looking out into the world, finding horrible things by your standards, and then by saying, well, it's a horrible thing, but I'm going to let it slide. And that is not what allowing is at all. Allowing is becoming a vibrational match to the energy of your source, so that you once and for all, moment by moment, day by day, allow the fullness of the well-being that you so much want and deserve. Nothing is more important than that you feel good. In fact, we do not know of any desire that any of you have ever held that has been for any other reason that you believe in the achieving of it you would feel good, or that you would feel better. And so it is a wonderful thing that we are all selfishly motivated. And what that means is we can tell when we are allowing that which is best for us. When all beings are selfishly motivated and therefore are reaching for that which makes them feel best in the moment, it is not possible for your environment to do other than thrive. In fact, we have never known anyone, and we have known everyone. We have never known anyone who was in vibrational alignment with who they really are, that was then in a position that they sought to do harm to any other. That only ever comes from a disconnection, and usually a rather severe disconnection from one's own source. And so, worry not. A world of allowers is a wonderful world to experience. And whether anybody else ever figures it out or not, your world of allowing will be a wonderful world to experience. Because when you get in sync with the well-being that is natural to you, you thrive.